everybody? Welcome to episode 13 of the Hail Mary, and we are fired up today. You know why we're fired up? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers got a big freaking W versus the New York Jets, and I get it. I understand. It's just the New York Jets, but it's still a win to me, damn it. It's still real to me, damn it. And the Pittsburgh Steelers got a huge win, and that's one of the topics that we are going to talk about today. We are going to talk about a lot, and I mean pretty much only football today. That's literally all we're going to talk about is football. We're going to talk about college football. We're going to talk about the NFL, and there's really not much else that I really care about right now that isn't football, because baseball for me is over because the Pirates absolutely suck ass. So we're going to talk about college football, and then we'll move on to the NFL. So let's just talk about first this whole Florida football situation. Florida losing to USF on their home field, losing on a walk-off field goal, and what are Florida fans doing? You guys ran Dan Mullen out of the building. You guys were so mad that he wasn't the next Urban Meyer. You ran him out of town, and now look who you're stuck with. You're stuck with Billy Napier, who is a 500 coach. The guy should be nowhere near the SEC right now. The guy should be coaching in the MAC, honestly. A lot of people are saying that Kalen DeBoer is not a good coach for the SEC. Take a look in the mirror if you're saying that. And you know what's going to look back at you? Billy Napier. The guy is not good whatsoever, and yet Florida fans ran him out of town. Meanwhile, Dan Mullen, who is a good coach, I guess not up to the standards that you thought he should be. Dan Mullen, again, who is a good coach, just got a big win with UNLV. Yeah, UNLV versus UCLA. And I'm not saying UCLA is a world beater. I'm not saying UCLA is good. Nico Ilamaviava is not a good quarterback. However, that's still a big win for a group of 5 team versus a Big Ten team. I don't want to hear that, oh, they really played the Big Ten for a few years. No, they are a Big Ten team. They have more funding. Kids actually want to go to UCLA most of the time because they do have a good history. You get to live in California. I think they're choosing that over UNLV right now. And Dan Mullen got a huge win for the boys. Congratulations to Dan Mullen. And that is just another reason why you can just twist the knife and let Florida fans know that they made a huge mistake running you out of town. Absolute joke. Now, the way that Florida lost this game, for some reason, one of their defensive players thought that he was Jalen Carter. Except this time, we have Spitgate 2.0. Actually, it's not even Spitgate. We just have Spit 2.0. It's not even Spitgate. The player for Florida, I think his name is Belt, just absolute fucking sprays at the USF kid. I mean, it was clear as day. I have a feeling that we need to take a look at his phone and see who he's betting on, because there is zero reason why you do that in that situation, because you just cost your team a loss against USF, a team that you pay to come play you. You got beat down in the swamp. And that is, again, a Billy Napier problem. He's letting this happen. Florida should be ashamed of themselves. The absolute joke that Florida is. Billy Napier should get out of the SEC. The best part, though, after they made that kick, if you guys have seen the picture of the way that I think it was the kicker and the holder were celebrating, they were like dipping each other down like they were about to make out, which, listen, I'm not judging if they do that, but little zesty of a picture there. I don't think they meant to do that. I don't think they wanted that to be on camera, but congratulations to USF getting a huge win versus Florida. And Florida, yeah, your season quite literally might be over. I got to listen to what Uncle Lou says about Florida football. We also had some teams that struggled. Teams that are supposed to be good that struggled. Clemson could not find their rhythm versus Troy. They were down big. They were down double digits going into halftime. It was not looking good for Clemson, but the power of God's name, image, and likeness, the power of PEDs, the power of pray every day, Clemson got it done. Clemson found a way to beat Troy. This is coming after they just got booty dick down by LSU. And I had Clemson as my number one team in the country going into the playoffs. I had Clemson making it all the way to the national championship. Spoiler alert, if you didn't read my article. I had Clemson going all the way to the national championship game. I didn't have them winning it. Spoiler alert again if you didn't read my article. But I thought this Clemson team was going to gel. They brought back so many players. Kay Klubnik had another year under his belt. You know, I understand that Dabo Swinney gets his gripes for sometimes, you know, being a little stingy when it comes to the transfer portal and when it comes to NIL things. But he brought back pretty much everybody on the team. He had another year with his quarterback. The receivers, they have dogs across the board. I mean, they're not like LSU or Ohio State, but Clemson can produce wide receivers. Did you see what Nuke Hopkins did yesterday? The guy is incredible. I understand he hasn't been at Clemson for years, but I just thought that this was the year that Clemson was going to be able to just roll through teams. I thought that they would beat LSU. I didn't think it would be a blowout type game, but I thought they would be able to get through LSU. I thought that, you know, if they played Troy after losing to LSU, they should have beat Troy by 50. And I get that there have been games in the past where Clemson has struggled against Troy, but after losing to LSU, this is a game that you had to have won by triple digits. I mean, you should have put up Ohio State numbers like they did to Grambling State versus Troy to get yourself back in that national picture conversation, because right now, I don't have Clemson as a top 10 team. Spoiler alert if you read my latest article as well for my top 10 teams. The way that they're looking right now, I can listen, they're probably going to win the ACC. That's just how it works. They're going to probably end up beating Miami because Clemson always finds a way. I will say that Clemson will make the playoffs on the heels of winning the ACC. But as of right now, they don't look very good. They are not a top 10 team, in my opinion, in college football. More teams that also struggled, but I also think that this is probably just like, well, we'll talk about it. First of all, LSU. I think LSU struggled. They won this week, but it was by a slim margin. I think that they won this week by a slim margin because it was that look behind game. It was that big win hangover type game for them. They just came off the heels of beating up on Clemson, and then you have to play some nobody school. You just beat Clemson. Sorry, I had to burp, but that's why I paused. But yeah, you just beat Clemson, and you're looking, you're like, oh, well, if we just beat them, we could beat up this team in our sleep. Didn't come to fruition that way. I mean, yes, they still won by double digits, but you would expect LSU to put up even better numbers. This game right here as well, Georgia in their game versus Austin Peay didn't look the best as well, but I also think it's a situation where they know that they're going to beat Austin Peay in their sleep. They got a big win versus Marshall the last week. I know Marshall isn't really a world beater, but they got a big win versus Marshall, thinking that, hey, we could just play Austin Peay and beat them on our sleep. They struggled, but I still have them in the top 5 of college football right now because they are proving that they can still win, and we'll see once they start getting an SEC play. I have Georgia winning the SEC. Spoiler alert again if you didn't read my article. Penn State, this one, people were saying that they were struggling. They did get a shutout win, and it is very difficult. I don't care who you're playing. I literally don't care who you're playing unless you're playing a D2 nobody Pee-wee school. It's hard. It's very hard to get a shutout in college football. And Penn State did shut out FIU 34-0. I will give them credit for that. They did look a little bit sluggish, though, in the first half. And then they kind of pulled away towards the end there. The way that I'm seeing Penn State right now, Penn State, it looks dominant. They're playing nobodies, which, again, all you can do when you play nobodies is beat up on nobodies. I hate that narrative of you haven't played anybody, blah, 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 blah. Like, I hate that narrative. I really do, because the kids don't make the schedules. They just play who's on their schedule, and all they can do is beat up on the teams that they do. Penn State did look a little bit sluggish. I will say that. Do I have them dropping out of my top 5? No. But is this a team right now that I think is going to walk into Columbus and beat Ohio State? I don't. And all the media analysts, everybody thinks that Penn State is the next big thing. What I'm seeing right now from them, they have to prove to me that they can beat a big name team before I'll even consider the fact that they could beat Ohio State. And Oregon right now, I mean, what did they win? 69-3? Oregon could quite possibly be the best team in the country if Ohio State wasn't in the league right now. But Oregon, just a dominant win. I mean, they had like 13 pick sixes. It was freaking crazy. That if Penn State can find a way, they get to play them at home. It's going to be a whiteout game. If Penn State can find a way to beat Oregon, they got booty dick down in the Big Ten game, Big Ten championship game. But if they can get revenge and beat Oregon in the whiteout, it will convince me a little bit more. A little bit. Right now, I'm like 25% like confident in Penn State to beat Ohio State right now. If they could beat Oregon, it may be like a 45-55 thing, because that would be a huge win for Penn State. But congrats to them. They got a shutout. Like I said, it is so hard to shut out teams in college football. Do not get me wrong. Penn State just doesn't look the best to me right now, and I'm quite literally not worried about them to win the Big Ten, to win against Ohio State, to win the national championship, which the goal right now for this team, they are in win now mode. They have to win the national championship. I can't see it right now with this team. They do not look like a national championship contender to me. Talking about another team that has high aspirations, Michigan. You just spent $20 billion on your starting quarterback, Bryce Underwood. Dave Portnoy opened up his checkbook. All the boosters opened up their checkbook to bring this kid over to Michigan. He was supposed to be the next big thing, just like Arch Manning. Now, he doesn't have the hype like Arch Manning, but Michigan is stuck in the 1980s. You're paying this kid $20 million or whatever the hell you're giving him. I don't know the exact number. You're stuck as a handoff merchant right now if you're Bryce Underwood. Michigan's offense is pedestrian. Michigan's offense is non-existent. I think that Sharon Moore is doing a flip Ryan Day, where Ryan Day last year versus Ohio State wanted to prove, or Ryan Day last year versus Michigan wanted to prove, hey, we're not soft. We're going to run it down your throat. We're going to beat you at your own game. And that is exactly what got Ohio State beat by Michigan last year, because Ryan Day wasn't throwing the ball to his weapons. Emeka Egbuka, who just had a killer game in the NFL. Jeremiah Smith, who's probably the best player in college football right now, wasn't utilizing them, was just running into the heart of the defense for Michigan. They had Kenneth Grant. They had Mason Graham. They had dogs across their defensive line. I think Michigan wants to prove to themselves that, hey, we can play this same style that you wanted to do, and we'll beat up on everybody, and then when we get to you, we'll continue to do it. You can't stop us, but you have a 5-star quarterback now. J.J. McCarthy was okay. I'm not saying he was the best quarterback of all time, but the style that team was built on was just hard-nosed running, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, just dominant. This team now should play with a little bit more finesse when you have a 5-star quarterback that you're paying all this money to. And it just got to situations in that Oklahoma game for Michigan where it would be 3rd and 3. Everybody on the planet knew they were running the ball. And if everybody on the planet knows they're running the ball, what do you think Oklahoma knows? Oklahoma knows you want to run the ball. Michigan looks pedestrian. This Michigan team honestly sucks. They are terrible. And that's what scares me as an Ohio State fan. This Michigan team sucks. They are playing down, and it's probably just going to be another bait for Ohio State to lose. I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah, this Michigan team is bad, but I right now, Michigan is so deep into my head that I know that they're so bad that for some reason, I just can't trust Ryan Day to get the boys up right now. I mean, yeah, he can get the boys up. Pause. He can get the boys up to beat Grambling State 70-0, but I'm just scared versus Michigan. They're literally in my head right now, but they don't look good whatsoever. And John Mateer, though, speaking of people who look good, though, John Mateer, my man, is right now probably the Heisman frontrunner. OU got themselves a dog at quarterback. John Mateer looked great. And say what you want about Michigan. Michigan usually always has a good defense. And John Mateer, he got it done versus a very, listen, Michigan is turning into Iowa right now a little bit. Just a better offense, because Iowa, what the fuck are you guys doing? You guys suck. You guys are terrible on offense. But Michigan right now, good defense, and John Mateer found a way, got it done versus a good defense in Michigan. So, yeah, that is my college football talk. Let's move on and talk about the NFL, because, oh my goodness, this may have been the best week 1 slate I can remember in a very, very long time. And it's not even over yet. And we're going to give a prediction for the game tonight as well. But, oh my goodness, yesterday was great. So let's get into that. Hey, before we get into talking about the NFL, I want you to go to my website, go to hailmary.media, and check out all of our content that we're posting over there. We post blogs. We post our videos over there. I mean, we are doing big and great things over on hailmary.media. And also sign up for my newsletter. My newsletter, I send over articles that the general public does not get to see. My newsletter, though, is absolutely free to sign up for, where I send you exclusive betting picks, I do exclusive articles, and I also do exclusive deals over there for people who sign up to my newsletter, giveaways, and such like that. So make sure that you check out hailmary.media, which is our website, and go over, and then you'll see a big button right there that says sign up for our newsletter. Check that out. Read our exclusive articles. Again, these are absolutely free as well. I'm not making you pay for anything. Just go check it out. Let me know what you think about the articles, the exclusive articles. Check out all of our short form content. Let's talk about the NFL. All right, so I was screaming at the beginning of the podcast because I was beyond excited, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are back, baby. I'm not really going to say they're back, but they were fun. I wrote an article yesterday. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers fun again? They might be fun. So yesterday was a tale of two revenge games. We had Justin Fields and the New York Jets on one side. We had Aaron Rodgers versus the New York Jets for the Pittsburgh Steelers on the other side. If you remember, unless you were living under a rock, Justin Fields was the quarterback for a while for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, first of all, Mike Tomlin, still can't believe you benched him. You should be fired for that still. Aaron Rodgers last year was the quarterback for the New York Jets. He also has a vendetta against the New York Jets because they made him fly across the country for a 10-second meeting to let him know that he will no longer be on the team. And Aaron Glenn had zero reason to want to talk to him. He just sat him down, kind of berated him, and said, "You are no longer the quarterback. Goodbye. How do you want the media to know that we're releasing you?" So Aaron Rodgers had a little bit of a vendetta and a chip on his shoulder, letting the league know I can still play football. And on the flip side, Justin Fields last year was benched for Russell Wilson. I'm going to say that again, but slower, so you guys can comprehend how stupid that sounds. Russell Wilson was the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers over Justin Fields after Mike Tomlin benched Jussie for Russie. Do you get what I'm saying? How stupid, especially once you saw what happened yesterday. Justin Fields, though, and the New York Jets put on a freaking clinic on offense. I could not believe my eyes. I thought, so I got featured on Oneberg yesterday. Big shout out, Oneberg. Thank you, Oneberg. I thought that this was going to be straight up the ugliest game of the year. I thought it was going to be a downright suckfest. That's what I wrote. I thought it was going to come down to good defense, Chris Boswell, which it did come down to Chris Boswell, but I thought both teams were going to struggle. I didn't think that Aaron Rodgers was going to sling the ball all over the yard. 4 freaking touchdowns. I didn't think Justin Fields was going to absolutely cook our defense. But my goodness, this had potentials. It had potentials for about 7 hours to be game of the year. It really did. And then the Bills and Ravens game happened, which that was just, oh my God. If you went to sleep, we'll talk about that later. But my goodness, are the Pittsburgh Steelers fun again? When the Pittsburgh Steelers had Big Ben, when they had AB, and when they had Le'Veon Bell, they had the killer bees, the team was fun. You knew the offense was putting up 35 points a game, but you knew the defense was going to give up 45. And it was just, if the Steelers could push past that 45 mark and get 50 themselves, that's fun football to watch. I will say that. Is it frustrating to watch? A little bit. But it's not as frustrating as having a good defense, which the Steelers did the past 2-3 years since Big Ben, in just a downright horrible, terrible offense. Kenny Pickett could not move the ball whatsoever. He only threw to the outsides. He only threw checkdowns. He never attacked the middle of the field. We had to deal with Mitch Trubisky. We had to deal with Russell fucking Wilson. What were you thinking, Mike Tomlin? It wasn't fun football to watch. You knew that the Steelers were going to find a way to grind out a W through Boswell, through the defense. The defense yesterday was terrible. You had Cam Hayward all offseason bitching that he can't put food on the table for his family. Oh, my God. And they gave him an extra $3 million. The defense looked like absolute dog shit. They were terrible. And did you see what Derrick Henry did yesterday? Did you see what Josh Allen did yesterday? They quite literally might put up 87 points. Shout out Sidney Crosby on this Steeler team. And I'm not even exaggerating. That's how bad the Steelers looked on defense. They were getting gashed bad. Chunk play after chunk play. And they were getting to Justin Fields. I will say that. The Steelers had the best, pressure rate of the week, but they just could not get him down on the ground. And I think that'll help a little bit once Herbig comes back and once Derek Harmon comes back. But it was ugly. But with it being ugly, it was still very, very fun. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a fun team again. Little grain of salt with this. They were playing the Jets. Could this be a situation where both teams just suck so bad that it was fun? Because we get that sometimes. You sometimes have games where both teams suck and the game sucks. This may be a case where both teams suck, but the game was good. But it also could be a case where both teams are on the rise. They're making moves. So that was just an absolutely incredible game. Talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers last year and Russell Wilson, Brian Daboll may be smarter than Mike Tomlin. Russell Wilson should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore. He really shouldn't. He's lost touch. He's not good anymore. I thought that the Giants should have just went with Jameis Winston. I didn't think that there was any reason for them to have to sign Russell Wilson. There was actually zero reason unless you wanted a veteran presence, which I think Jameis is a veteran presence. He's just a little bit kooky in how he does things. But I thought that Jameis Winston should have been the starting quarterback, and then you go to Jackson Dart. I don't think Russell Wilson should be anywhere near a starting position right now. Truly, I don't think he should. He should be the backup on a team like the Chiefs, on the Eagles, where if something happens, you know that you have a veteran guy that you can kind of lean your hat on a little bit. But Russell Wilson getting the nod last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers over Justin Fields after we just saw what Justin Fields is capable of doing. And all last year, we had to watch Russell Wilson put together an absolute suckfest on the offensive side of the ball. Brian Daboll might be doing the right thing, and he might be benching Russell Wilson after that loss to the Washington Commanders and going to Jackson Dart, which is more brilliant than what Mike Tomlin was. First of all, Mike Tomlin loves veterans for some reason. You could be the greatest rookie quarterback ever. You could be guaranteed to throw 75 touchdowns, no interceptions, and win the Super Bowl, and Mike Tomlin would still probably play a veteran over you. Brian Daboll, he ain't playing that shit. Brian Daboll is going to bench Russell Wilson. They look terrible. Russell Wilson, listen, buddy, it may be time to hang up the cleats. Go hang out with your wife. Go be Mr. Unlimited somewhere else. We don't need you anymore because Russell Wilson, I don't think he has the juice anymore to be a starting quarterback. He should be a backup on a contender. Send him back to Seattle and let him sit and teach Jaden Milroe while Sam Darnold does his thing. Let him do something like that. Right now, he is not capable of being a starting quarterback in the NFL. And on the flip side as well, talking about people who shouldn't be a starting quarterback in the NFL, Tua. The Dolphins are quite possibly the worst team in the NFL. I thought it was going to go to the New Orleans Saints. The Dolphins are terrible. We honestly might see Tyreek Hill retire towards the middle of the year. They are seriously that bad. It was a tough watch. It really was. Tua kept turning the ball over. The Colts were looking dominant. Danny Dimes. The Giants are probably punching themselves because did you see what he was able to do? Did you not see what Daniel Jones was doing with the Colts? He was looking awesome. Now again, grain of salt. He was playing against the Dolphins, who their cornerback one is Storm Duck. All-time name, not an all-time corner. I'll say that for a fact. But the Giants must be punching themselves right now because they at least could have had better production from Daniel Jones than what they got from Russell Wilson. But the Dolphins, they quite literally, the way they played yesterday, they might go defeated. And I think it would honestly be in their best interest to go defeated. I think that they should tank and get somebody like a Lenore Sellers. They need all the help possible. They are bad. And if I am the Pittsburgh Steelers, because seeing how bad that defense was, you traded Minkah Fitzpatrick for Jalen Ramsey, I'm calling the Dolphins back and saying, hey, you guys fucking suck. Can we get Minkah back for like a third-round pick or something like that? This team needs to just go in full-on tank mode. They are terrible. The Dolphins are bad, and they quite possibly might go defeated this year. Which goes into our next topic, which is Fraud Watch. Two coaches for me are on Fraud Watch. First is Mike McDaniel, obviously, because, I like Mike McDaniel, but I don't think he's head coach worthy in the NFL. I think he's offensive coordinator worthy. Because this whole, nerdy guy shtick that he plays, listen, it's cool when you're winning. I'm not even going to say it's a shtick. It's just him. But it's cool when you're winning. Listen, it's like, oh, yeah, we got this cool, laid-back head coach, and he talks like us, and he's cool in the locker room. When you're losing, you want to punch that guy in the damn teeth. And I think he may need to reevaluate his coaching tenure, go somewhere and be an offensive coordinator, because I think the guy is brilliant at scheming. I think the guy is very good at that aspect of football. I'm not going to say he's a wonder boy, but I'm going to say that he's very good at what he does. But it may be, he should probably hit up the Lions and be like, hey, you guys need an offensive coordinator, considering what we saw from the Lions this week, which, rough. But he should hit up the Lions and be like, yo, hey, I'm going to step down from the Dolphins because can't figure it out. You guys need an OC, and let him work with what's there. Let him reevaluate and figure out how to be a head coach again in the NFL. Let him get his legs under him for coaching. So Mike McDaniel, his tenure's looking a little bit, it's on the hot seat right now for the Dolphins. And then also on the hot seat, I made a video about this on TikTok and people want me dead. Dan Campbell. The Lions yesterday piss poor. I get that the Packers are revamped. I get the Packers are on the up and up. I get they traded for Micah Parsons. I get that they have another year with Jordan Love. They're looking a lot better. They're looking like a Super Bowl contender. But all offseason, I heard that you were supposed to be the team to beat in the NFC North. I was told that you were going to take that next step and make it to the Super Bowl. I was told that you were getting an addition in Aiden Hutchinson back because he was hurt all last year and you still made it as far as you did and played as well as you did. And what I saw yesterday from the Detroit Lions, I'm not officially putting Dan Campbell on fraud watch. He's not getting the stamp just yet. Not yet. We're going to see what happens when he plays more teams that aren't the Packers. But the way it looked yesterday, Aaron Glenn looked very good for the Jets. We're going to see what's going on with Ben Johnson. But as of right now, because Ben Johnson plays tonight, it seems like Dan Campbell was a merchant for his coordinators. He couldn't get it done. And again, like I said, he played up against a good team in the Packers. They couldn't do anything. The defensive side of the ball, terrible. The offensive side of the ball, terrible. The scoreboard should have been worse than it actually was because they ended up scoring a highlight reel touchdown that was in garbage time. The Lions did. They got to figure something out. I get you're playing the Packers, but I was told all offseason that this is one of the teams to beat in the NFC. This is the team that is going to win the NFC North. They're going to take that next step. They're going to the Super Bowl. I didn't see it. I'm not officially putting Dan Campbell on fraud watch. If he loses to the Bears the next week, I believe they play him, but he's on fraud watch for freaking sure. And the Packers, though, the Packers look very good. There's really not much else I could say about it. Micah Parsons coming in, just, yeah, this team looks like a Super Bowl contender right now. And the only issue is I don't know if they're going to be able to beat one of these teams that played last night because we may have had the game of the year already in week 1. This was so much fun to watch. The Ravens versus the Bills. I alluded to it at the beginning of the podcast because I am scared. I am scared shitless to play these two teams as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, considering what the Jets just did to my favorite team. This game was awesome. Back and forth, and then the Ravens looked like they were pulling away. Derrick Henry, first of all, crazy stat for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has more rushing yards in his high school career than he does throughout his entire tenure in the NFL. How crazy is that? Derrick Henry, if you don't know, actually had a rule against him in high school where if at any point during the game his team got up by 21 points, he had to sit the bench until his team gave up points and then he can come back on because he was embarrassing people too much. They literally could have won games 100-0 if Derrick Henry was on the field, so they had to make a rule for him. Derrick Henry owns the Buffalo Bills until he didn't, because last night, we'll talk about the entire game. So it was just a back and forth thing. Bills, Ravens kind of pulling away. Derrick Henry looking great. The Ravens at one point were up by 15 points in the fourth quarter. And Josh Allen and the Bills, you know, it was looking bad for them. Fans were leaving the stadium, and it just was not looking good. Down 15. They score a touchdown, a very crazy touchdown, by the way, where it was like a tip pass and Keon Coleman catches it out of nowhere. So they get that and they bring the game within 8. They bring the game within 8. Derrick Henry fumbles. Bills get the ball back. They score. They don't get the 2, but they're down by 1. They end up getting the ball back again, kick a game-winning field goal. Listen, I can't even do justice. Like, you have to just watch this game for yourself if you didn't watch it, which, first of all, if you didn't watch this game, I quite literally think that you don't like football. I had people in my group chat, one of my buddies, he was like, holy shit, did the Bills win? Now, I will give him a pass. He has to wake up early, but he was like, holy shit, the Bills won. I went to sleep because they were down 15. I thought they were dead. And this just feeds the narrative that John Harbaugh, this is what I think this is like his 17th double digit blown lead in the second half that he has in his career. For some reason, the Ravens just do the thing where if they're up big, they just blow the game away. It's crazy. They had the game in the bag. All they had to do was run the ball out. And they tried to do that, but Ed Oliver punched it out of Derrick Henry's hands, and just absolutely, that may have been the game of the year. And if you were a Buffalo Bills fan and you left that game, take away your fan card. You should not be welcome into that stadium again. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, I'm getting screen caps of all your faces when you walked out, and if you try to come back in, you're not welcome. Game of the freaking year. I absolutely loved it. Such a fun game to watch, and I hate the Baltimore Ravens, so this made it even sweeter. This game made that game even sweeter. I loved it. All right, so my prediction for tonight for our Monday Night Football game, we have the Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. The over-under right now is 43.5, and the Minnesota Vikings are a 1.5 point favorite versus the Chicago Bears. This is being played in Chicago. I am going to actually lean Chicago Bears money line, which is plus 104, and I am going to be taking the over as well. I think that in this game, Ben Johnson is going to want to show up and show out, especially after what happened with the Lions. I think Ben Johnson is going to want to really prove that he's like, hey, it's not Dan Campbell. It was me. So I think that he is going to do everything in his power to put up as many points as possible versus the Minnesota Vikings. And I can see, I'm not going to say this is going to be a shootout type game, but I can see this being a back and forth type affair where it's going to end up being like 24-21, which would hit the over because the over is 43.5. So that is my official pick for today for the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. So, hey, thank you, everybody, for listening to this latest episode of the Hail Mary. This was episode 13. We had some awesome football. It was great. I love having football back. I love doing absolutely nothing on Saturdays and Sundays. It was great. Make sure you're checking out our website, hailmary.media. Read all of our blogs. Check out our free newsletter to get yourself some picks every single week. Be sure to follow us on all of our social platforms. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube Shorts. We are everywhere. And if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button and that bell notification so you never miss another video. And if you're watching on Spotify, rate us 5 stars. That would be sweet if you could do that as well. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I hope you have a beautiful week. I will see you all again on Friday. Let's freaking go football! Have a beautiful week, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 13 of the Hail Mary.